Kyle, good to see you. We've got one of your favorite subjects today, taxes, how to reduce taxes in your portfolio. People watching, you've probably heard about asset allocation before, but perhaps just as important is asset location, where you keep your assets. In a tax-advantaged account or a traditional brokerage account can significantly lower the tax bite in your portfolio. So let's start high level here, Kyle. Please talk through the tax benefits of a traditional and a Roth IRA and how each has its own tax advantage.
Hey, Aaron, absolutely. So I feel like in the US, we are, as investors, a lot of us are kind of pigeonholed into the traditional IRA, and a lot of people retiring. We see a lot of pre-tax dollars coming our way. But there is something called a Roth IRA, and it's kind of the complement to a traditional IRA. It works in the reverse order. So with the traditional IRA, whenever we're putting money into that, whether it's an IRA or a 401k through an employer, you get a slight reduction in your income for the current year, but everything as you take it out on the back end is going to be taxed as ordinary income. Whereas the Roth works the other way around. And this is available in a lot more mainstream 401k or employer plans nowadays. You don't get that little tax break in the current year. Money still grows tax deferred in both accounts. But when you go to withdraw from a Roth, it's going to be tax free to you coming out, which can be a really big benefit. Especially because we don't know which way taxes are going to go in the future. And believe it or not, when you retire, you still have to pay taxes in a lot of cases. So that doesn't go away either.
No, that's so unfair. I think it should if anybody's taking my vote. All right. So now you say you should also consider tax loss harvesting. Can you explain how this one works, please?
For sure. So this is a little different, and it pertains actually to a different account. So like we just said, IRAs, Roth and traditional IRAs, are tax deferred vehicles. So we're not paying taxes along the way. We only pay taxes when we're taking that money out in those cases appropriately. Now, tax loss harvesting applies to what's called a brokerage account. So it's an investment account that's not an IRA. So not a traditional, not a Roth. It's just a brokerage account where you can invest. You can buy the same types of vehicles you could buy in most IRAs. But the way these work is you have a cost basis usually in your investments. So if you put $100 into an ETF, for example, and it grows to 120, that $20 of gains, you have to pay taxes on when you sell that investment, right? But not all investments go up indefinitely. You have losses along the way. So tax loss harvesting is a tool we can use where we're pairing some of the winners in a given period of time with some of the losers to try to get that net zero and minimize our tax bill along the way, while ideally managing that portfolio more actively and risk appropriately for clients.
All right, so now let's drill down into asset location. Dividends and other cash distributions are typically taxable in the year you receive them. To minimize your tax burden on dividends, consider where you hold your investment. So what do we need to know?
Yeah, this is a really good point too, Aaron. What we just talked about there was selling an investment in a brokerage account. That's when you usually trigger those gains that you may have, the capital gains. Now, when you're earning dividends or interest on those investments that you hold in that brokerage account, those are taxed when received. Just kind of like interest at the bank, for example. When you earn that, it's taxed. So you want to be mindful of the type of account. The IRAs, your traditional IRA, your Roth, tax deferred, right? So I'm getting those dividends. I'm not really paying the taxes until I take the money out of that account. Whereas with the brokerage account, boom, they kind of get you right there, and you get a tax form at the end of the year. So you want to be mindful. If your goal is not income, you may not want to load up on all of those dividend-paying, income-paying investments if it's not lining up with the objective and the style, the form of the account.
And then next, you suggest taking advantage of long-term capital gains tax rates. With strategic planning, there is a potential for a 0% tax rate.
Right. This is a really good point. So to break it down even further, right? The glory of the tax code here, the capital gains tax rates, they could be long-term or short-term capital gains. Short-term gains are taxed as ordinary income, whereas long-term gains are going to be taxed under the long-term gain capital, the long-term capital gain rate, the tax rate. Up to a certain point of income, if you earn a certain amount and below, you can take those long-term capital gains at a 0% rate. Now, there's some tax planning involved. You want to make sure that we're using the proper planning and the proper professional when necessary. But if you do it right, you could even pay a 0% tax rate on those long-term gains.
Talking this through, it's apparent that this is why tax diversification is so important. So are there any other options when it comes to saving money on taxes that people don't really consider?
There is, and I'm glad you brought that up. And it's a little bit more on the unusual side, but it's something that's been around for a really long time, and that is cash value life insurance. So more particularly, we like to look at the whole lives when it's appropriate. But those life insurance policies that build cash value over time, you can access that cash value in most cases via loan or withdrawal. And if you set it up the right way, you can create a very advantageous bucket of money that you could pull from if you do it right. Now, this usually is better for younger investors because it is life insurance and there is underwriting that is required. And every company's got their different rules and everything. But I think you said it best, that tax diversification, having different buckets of money to pull from instead of just one gigantic traditional IRA when you retire, it could be a lot easier to work with in retirement.
Right. And often we don't know what we don't know. Like you said, we all grew up thinking that the tax deferred 401k was best, if not the only option. So, Kyle, it just underscores the importance of sitting down with someone who kind of specializes in this strategic tax planning, which I know you do. So if somebody would like to talk this through with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, best way is through our website, and that's firstcoastfinancialgroup.com.
All right. Kyle, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.